Empaths, the hidden science of supernatural sensitivity. There is a radical perspective on human sensitivity that challenges everything we have been told about being an empath. For decades, the traditional psychological community tended to view extreme emotional sensitivity as a lack of boundaries or even a clinical delusion. However, deep analytical research has suggested that empaths are not broken people. They are individuals possessing actual neurological and psychological differences. They perceive information through channels that most people simply cannot access. The problem is that a vast majority of empaths use these abilities in ways that lead to self-destruction rather than empowerment. The difference between an empath who is constantly drained and one who wields genuine power comes down to understanding exactly how these biological and psychological mechanisms are supposed to function. Research into these highly sensitive types reveals that they are like biological radio receivers, tuned into frequencies that others ignore. When these experiences are taken at face value rather than dismissed as too sensitive, consistent patterns emerge. Empaths perceive real data about emotional states, psychological patterns, and even environmental energy. However, most are using their equipment backward. They are absorbing the world instead of merely perceiving it. By shifting from a state of unconscious absorption to conscious perception, an empath can transform their sensitivity from a chronic wound into a sophisticated navigation system for reality. The first major ability identified in these individuals is emotional field perception. This is the capacity to sense the emotional atmosphere of any environment without a single word being spoken. An empath walks into a room and immediately knows if a conflict has just occurred or if anxiety is simmering beneath the surface. The mistake most make is assuming these felt emotions are their own. They enter a space, feel a sudden wave of depression or rage, and believe something is wrong with them internally. In reality, they are simply picking up the frequencies of those around them. This ability often develops in childhood as a survival mechanism, where reading a parent's fluctuating mood was essential for safety. To use this ability correctly, one must practice the discipline of the pause. Whenever a strong emotion arises, the empath must ask whether the feeling connects to their actual circumstances or if it appeared only after encountering a specific person or place. This single question creates the necessary distance between the observer and the observed. It allows for the recognition that that person is angry, without the empath becoming angry themselves. It is the difference between seeing a fire and jumping into it. Learning that much of what they feel isn't actually theirs can cause an initial identity crisis, but it ultimately leads to a state of being accurately empathic rather than perpetually overwhelmed. The second ability is unconscious pattern recognition. Empaths can often detect a person's core psychological makeup within minutes of meeting them. They sense untrustworthiness before a lie is told and recognize danger before aggression appears. This happens because the empathic brain processes massive amounts of microinformation, vocal inflections, micro-expressions, and body language inconsistencies at lightning speed. This is another survival trait honed in unstable environments where a child's safety depended on constant threat assessment. It is a permanent, high-level diagnostic tool that functions automatically. The catastrophic error empaths make here is the abandonment of their inner knowing. They are often socialized to distrust their own perceptions in favor of being nice or giving people the benefit of the doubt. They sense a toxic pattern but stay, hoping they are wrong. Correct usage of this ability requires absolute trust in the data. When the nervous system flags someone as unsafe, the empath must believe it immediately. There is no need for drama or public announcements. One simply maintains a distance based on the information provided. Trusting this data is the primary factor that separates those who repeatedly choose toxic partners from those who identify safe connections instantly. The third ability is shadow detection, which is the perception of what people are actively hiding, the rage beneath a smile or the emptiness beneath a polished performance. Most people cannot see the shadow in others because they haven't acknowledged it in themselves, but the empathic nervous system registers this repressed material automatically. While this is a powerful tool in professional or therapeutic settings, it creates massive problems in personal life when used as a rescue mission. Empaths often see someone's hidden wound and feel an overwhelming compulsion to heal it, staying in abusive situations because they can see the wounded child beneath the toxic adult. Understanding why someone is dangerous does not make them safe. Shadow detection should be used for compassionate discernment, not as a mandate for healing everyone you encounter. It is a tool to help you make wise decisions about who to allow into your inner circle. One can have deep compassion for another person's trauma while maintaining a boundary that protects against their unintegrated shadow. This requires accepting the difficult truth that perceiving a wound does not obligate you to fix it. Sometimes the most compassionate act is to see someone fully and choose not to engage at all. Trajectory perception is the fourth ability, allowing empaths to sense where a situation or relationship is heading long before it gets there. It isn't prophecy, it is pattern extrapolation. The empath picks up on micro changes in energy or slight shifts in behavior that precede a larger collapse. They might know a job or a friendship is ending months before the final conflict occurs. However, empaths frequently override this foresight with hope, staying in situations that their intuition has already shown them the ending of. This hope as self-abandonment leads to unnecessary devastation. The correct use of trajectory perception is to act on the information provided by the lead time. If you can sense a situation deteriorating, you have the gift of time to prepare emotionally and practically. The ability offers foresight that allows for a graceful exit or a strategic pivot. It is meant to provide a path to safety, not to be ignored until the predicted disaster finally arrives. Believing what you perceive over what you wish were true is a hallmark of the empowered empath. The fifth ability, energetic resonance, is the most physically taxing. It is the automatic synchronization of the empath's nervous system with the emotional frequency of another person. This ability originally evolved to help caregivers attune to infants, but many empaths leave this receiver on all the time, resonating with everyone they meet. By the end of the day, they have absorbed a dozen different emotional states and lost their own baseline. This leads to a rapid decline in physical and mental health because the nervous system is not designed to process that much external data. The solution is conscious return. After any interaction where resonance was required, the empath must intentionally separate their energy from the other person. This can be done through conscious breathing, physical movement, or simply the internal declaration that is theirs, this is mine. The specific technique is less important than the intention to return to one's own baseline. Learning to turn this ability on and off may feel selfish at first, but it is the only way to remain functional. Controlling resonance ensures that you can offer support to someone in crisis without carrying that crisis energy for the rest of the week. Dimensional perception is the sixth and final ability, allowing empaths to see multiple layers of reality simultaneously, the spoken word versus the unspoken truth, and the conscious intention versus the unconscious drive. This makes them aware of everyone's contradictions and inconsistencies, which can make them feel intrusive or exhausting to others. Many empaths try to manage these contradictions by pointing them out or pushing people toward awareness. However, dimensional perception is meant to be used as silent wisdom. Just because you see a truth doesn't mean the other person is ready to hear it. Humility is required to recognize that everyone is on their own timeline for awareness. Your ability to see more doesn't make you responsible for accelerating another person's journey. The correct use of this perception is to hold the complete picture and use it to inform your own choices while letting others stay exactly where they are. It is a tool for your own understanding, not a license to dismantle someone else's psychological defenses. The ultimate framework for the empowered empath is the realization that these abilities exist for protection and discernment, not for rescue and absorption. When these gifts are understood as navigation systems rather than mandates to heal the world, the empath's life changes. They become bounded and discerning rather than soft and accommodating. They don't lose their sensitivity. They simply learn to use it as it was designed. They perceive everything but absorb nothing. They see completely but intervene only when it is healthy and appropriate. This transformation often confuses those who knew the empath in their wounded state. People may ask why they aren't as helpful or nice as they used to be. The truth is that the empath has stopped being a martyr and started being a master of their own energy. They have moved from a state of being controlled by what they perceive to a state of making wise choices based on that perception. This is the path to genuine power, inhabiting your own life fully without being overwhelmed by the emotional noise of everyone else. By trusting pattern recognition, using shadow detection for protection, and choosing when to resonate, the empath becomes a formidable force. They are no longer a victim of their environment, but a conscious participant in it. This evolution requires shedding the identity of the wounded healer and embracing the role of the discerning observer. Your abilities are real and they are meant to serve you first. When you finally inhabit your own life without being drained by the world, you find the strength to offer true, sustainable compassion to those who actually align with your path. This is the shift that changes everything, moving you from exhaustion to an enduring, centered power.